I started last week thinking I could create an autonomous AI team of agents. Something I could set up that would be proactive, autonomous, would just handle everything. Turns out it's not how it works. So reality hit me this week after spending a week of setting up Kaiser and my team of agents. So Kaiser's my chief of staff or the CEO of all my AI agents. And what I realized was I just built a glorified chatbot, waiting for me to tell it what to do, waiting for me to ask and get an answer. But that's not what I had envisioned. So I had to go back and basically reset the discovery phase. And during that process, that's when it dawned on me that the tools that are available to all of us for agentic AI, which is basically work that can be done for you autonomously, requires the similar steps that I'm used to taking as a contractor, as a project manager in my 16-year career. So as soon as I had that realization and the reset of the discovery, I was able to kind of take a step back and reset everything. So what I did was quite boring, actually. I basically had to have a get to know one another phase with my Kaiser agent. Again, he's the chief AI agent for me. I had to brain dump. I had to give him context. I had to give him who I was, my goals, what matters to me, all the businesses I'm involved with, my home life, a little bit about my wife, my kids, my family situation. I had to explain all the friction points out there. I had to give him stories about what would give me energy and stories about what would take energy away from me. And we spent a good amount of time going back and forth where I just gave him context into who I was and my goals. And ultimately that led me to a mission statement for Kaiser. And that mission statement is that you're autonomous. These are my goals, which I'm still working through, but we're at a point where he now has enough context that he can start setting up autonomy. And I'll go through a few of those in a second, but back to the setup. So it's easy to see what the end product could be, but I would say most people do not understand or do not have a clue of the steps and the work it requires to get to the end phase of any project. So I'll use a construction project as my example, and then relate that back to how I'm developing Kaiser and my team of AI agents to get there. So with every project I ever do, and a lot of my projects are just like any other project, there's an intent, like, hey, we want a building in this location for X amount of square feet. But then you have a whole discovery phase, and that whole discovery phase is really the basis of what you need to do before you even go to design with architects and engineers and site planning and approval. So I took that step and had the discovery phase where we just kicked around ideas and what I'm trying to get to. The details didn't matter at that point, but I just needed to explain what I was trying to do. So we did that just like you would with any other project. And then once you have a pretty good idea of the design intent, you can move into actual designing. And that designing then becomes a work product that you can move into your approval phase. And once you get through your approval phase, which for me is a lot like the checks and balances to make sure what he's working on actually meets the end goal. So again, I'm at not even at the foundation phase. I'm at the discovery phase and I'm at the design phase. But I have enough of an AI agent now where he's starting to set up some autonomous check-ins for me. So I've got Kaiser, who's my CEO of my entire team. I've got Stan, who's my VP of research and market intel. And then I have Max, who helps me with content creation, helps me manage the whole YouTube thing, as well as pulling key points from the conversations I have with Kaiser. And then I have Stan, I said Stan already. And then I have Bob. So Bob's the builder. He's the guy that actually builds me the tools, builds me the systems, helps me integrate other things I want integrated into my AI. So that's where we're at. I'm just starting to get to the foundation phase. So some of the things that I have set up, I have a morning debrief. I get 2 morning debriefs. So I get a recap from Stan, which is basically, I said, look, I want to know what these markets are where I've got properties, what's happening, what's driving growth, what are the tailwinds, what are the headwinds. So kind of a little bit of stuff I would do normally by trimming the news. He does that throughout the night. By 7 in the morning, when I basically through my morning routine, I can sit down and read his debrief from the day before. He also pulls me a few articles from AI news specific to construction and real estate development, just so I kind of can see what's happening out there. Because again, this tool, it's amazing, but you have to realize it's more than just your ChatGPT answer result type of interface. It can do a lot more, but you have to understand it takes a little bit of time to set that system up. So that's what I've been doing the past week. And I think it was an epiphany once I realized, okay, I got to treat this like any other project, get through the discovery phase, learn with Kaiser, have him learn about me and my goals, and then I can better define what my other agents do. And Kaiser kind of manages all those guys for me right now. So once I had that insight and I got there, things really started to click and move forward. As far as the backbone and the way I'm building this, I'm not a computer science guy. I'm not a programmer. I'm a guy that likes to play in the dirt, and I like machines, and I just like building things. I'm having to learn a whole lot of new skills that I never thought I would need to know, but it's actually been fun. It has taken a lot of time, but I've gotten to a point where I'm a little bit more confident. I know where to go for resources, and there's a lot out there. But again, this is something that will do what I think it will, which is basically be 4 employees for me or 3 employees for me, and then basically an assistant. The main thing we focused on over the last week was getting our family schedules aligned. So he's building me a family calendar where I can pull in all of the kids' events. I can pull in my wife's schedule, my schedule, and then once a week, we basically have talking points where we can go through to make sure we're all on the same page. And he sends that as part of my second brief that I get, which is what are the emails I need actions on? And this is purely my personal email at the moment. I haven't touched work. I've got 2 work emails, and none of that's in this yet. But he has his own email. I have my email. I gave him read-only access to my email so he can pull out stuff and integrate it into the calendar. So persistence pays off. And last week I was doubting I was actually going to be able to do this after I filmed last week. But I'm now energized again and excited to see how much more I can add to my setup currently. So week 1 was about just getting started, and I did that. I got started. I got in way over my head. But anyways, I'm at week 2 now, and week 2 is about loading context. It's about identifying capabilities that I want, and then eventually having all those built out. So maybe over the next week or 2, I'll have much more capability built into my AI team. So if you're building systems, if you're jumping into this AI, I would recommend do not skip the foundation. Make sure you understand that there is going to be upfront work. There's going to be some effort to make sure you're designing the system into something that's actually going to be useful versus just another glorified chatbot where it's constantly waiting for you to prompt it for the next thing. It can be boring, it can be tedious, but it is such a crucial step, so don't skip it. Next week will be another check-in on this, and I am pushing towards maybe showing some demos. But if you have any questions or if you're doing it differently than me, again, I know nothing about this. I'm learning as I go, and I know that it is something I'm capable of doing. And if I want to be fluent in AI and how it can help companies grow and people grow, then I have to learn it, and I'm starting with the basics. Thanks for tuning in. It's going to be an exciting week. I will learn more, I will produce more, and I will post more. Have a great Sunday, everyone.